Hello everybody, welcome to the Coaching Conversation. I'm Graham Wiley and I've been coaching business leaders for the last 2 decades. In this series we're going to explore some of the things I've seen and learned in that 2 decades and hopefully help you see how you can become more focused, more effective and hopefully happier in your life. So it's now time to sit back, relax and enjoy the Coaching Conversation. My subject today is public speaking. It's a funny thing, but many leaders that I coach over the years find public speaking a really difficult thing to do. In fact, it fills some of them with absolute dread, despite the fact that they're very confident people, despite the fact they know exactly what they're talking about. And in a one-to-one arrangement, they would be lucid, effective, clear. But given they've got to stand up in front of an audience, whether that's physically in a meeting room or a seminar or on a Zoom call or something, they absolutely fear and freeze at the prospect of it. Indeed, a couple of people that I've coached, that they've lost sleep for days beforehand. They've been so frightened, so absolutely petrified by the concept of being in front of people and just telling them what they know, that it has really made them pretty poorly, really. So the thing about public speaking is, frankly, try not to worry too much about the public. All your fears are pretty unfounded. Yeah, there could be people in the audience that don't agree with you. There could even be hecklers in the audience. There could be people in the audience who think it's funny to say things that disrupt progress. But they are pretty minor and fairly rare. And if you really know what you're talking about, it's irrelevant because you'll make the argument that counters what they've got to say. The truth is, you get your confidence in terms of public speaking from 2 or 3 fairly core start points. The first is, know your audience. Why are they there? Why are they giving you their time? What do they want from this presentation, this talk? And tailor what you're going to say to meet that need. So the start point isn't, I know all this and I'm going to tell everybody. It's, what do they need to know that I can help them with? The second core element is to be doing it in a way which they can relate to and take on board. So if you're using PowerPoint as an example, having endless bullet points on a series of PowerPoint slides, or even reading the PowerPoint slides to them, is really counterproductive. Use the PowerPoint slides as memory joggers for you to highlight the key things, the really important points you want them to take home, but use them only for that. You are therefore going to build your conversation around those bullet points, around those slides, not simply be verbatim around the slide. And then the third thing is your demeanor, is your physical positioning. One lady I coached was absolutely frightened of standing on a stage, literally opening up to the people in front of her. However, when she used a lectern, she felt protected, she felt safe. It transformed the level of confidence with which she was able to make her presentations. Personally, I like the reverse. If I'm giving a talk to people generally in a seminar type environment, I like walking around across the stage. I like being animated. I like being able to express my emotions. And so actually being behind a lectern would make me feel almost constrained. And so find the style the involvement in your presentation that you feel comfortable with. Coming back to content, it's really, really important in all communications that you are focused on the recipient of the information. Clearly, you want them to do something with it. Clearly, you're doing it for a reason. Clearly, you want them to go away and be different from the end of the conversation than they were at the beginning of the conversation. Now, that could be a sales pitch, that could be a training session, it could be anything. But the truth is, you want them to have gained something through that process. Well, again, they're only going to do that if you've thought about it from their perspective. And whilst you could have an audience that's made up of quite a lot of different people, there will be commonality. There will, broadly speaking, be a seam of continuity of what everybody really needs to take away from that meeting. And it's your job to focus on providing exactly that in a way which they can absorb. There are a number of golden rules that a lot of public speakers use. The first is to make sure they keep it as interactive as they possibly can. So take questions either at the end or as you're going through. That's possible in a small environment, not possible in a huge auditorium. Some like to involve people by asking them to vote on aspects of the conversation. Some people like to involve the audience by being provocative or comical to raise emotion and raise temperature. And they work if you're good at it. They can be quite risky if you're not. It's not unusual for really, really good public speakers to be able to do their speech, to do their talk completely unaided. They don't need a cue, they don't need a speech, they don't need to be reading anything. They can just let it go, let it go, let it go. And I'd encourage you, if you can, to be able to get word perfect in advance of the session you're going to give. That level of confidence that gives you is enormous. You walk onto the stage or you turn on the Zoom and you know what you're going to do. You're not busking, you know what you're going to do, and you therefore can take your audience on what you know to be a predetermined journey. Many of the really, really good public speakers that I've seen, and I've seen quite a few, are talented individuals who have really honed their skills. And they start by being very clear about what they're going to say. So they give you an introduction, and then they tell you, and then they tell you at the end. So it's a bit like the BBC News. They give you the headlines, and they give you the details, and they summarise, they're giving you the headlines again. And so you are taken on a journey, you're told where you're going to go to, then you're taken there, and then it's summarised for you. So it reinforces everything that the conversation, the presentation was meant to do. For a number of people that I've coached, the absolute dread, the fear of being in front of an audience has quite literally prevented them from showing the world how talented they really are. It's a serious debilitator in terms of their ability to manage, to lead, to guide, and indeed to develop their career if that's all part of it. And so the ability to speak publicly, the ability to stand up and be seen, and to be understood as an expert in your field or as an inspiring leader is a critical skill. And I would urge everybody to overcome their dread, overcome their fear, and focus on becoming a really, really good motivational speaker, even if it's only about providing data and information to people who then go on to use it for everybody's betterment. So there we are. Public speaking. See you again soon.
So, there you have it. The latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it useful. You can find out more about our coaching programs at theexecutivemindset.co.uk. If you want to reach out, you can send me an email at theexecutivemindset@sagegreen.com. You can book a free 30-minute session at theexecutivemindset.co.uk, which will give you a really good feel for how coaching could help you. And if you've really enjoyed the session, do please rate us, do please give us a review. And nothing more for me to say other than see you next time.